Hey everyone, and welcome to another deep dive.
Yeah.
We're going to be tackling a really fascinating topic,
Oh, yeah.
near-death experiences
Okay.
and mystical visions.
All right.
But
Sure.
we're going to be doing it with kind of a skeptic's lens.
Gyptics lens. Okay.
Our guide for today's deep dive
Yeah.
is David Christopher Lane's book,
Okay.
Inner Visions and Running Trains.
Oh, cool.
And he compares the Tibetan Book of the Dead
Mm.
with a Hindu mystic named Baba Fakir Chand.
That's really interesting.
Yeah. So get ready for some
Mm-hmm.
surprising parallels and some thought-provoking insights.
Absolutely.
This is one of those topics that just
Yeah.
never fails to kind of spark debate.
Yeah, totally.
And I think what's so fascinating about Lane's approach in this book
Mm-hmm.
is he takes this ancient spiritual text
Right.
and puts it next to
Yeah.
the very personal lived experiences
Uh,
of Fakir Chand.
that's fascinating.
It's like holding up a mirror
Mhm.
two seemingly different worlds.
Right.
And then all of a sudden you start seeing
Yeah.
reflections you didn't expect.
Totally unexpected reflections.
Right. And one of the biggest reflections
Okay.
that kind of stares right back at us
Yeah.
is this central paradox
Mm.
that both sources seem to agree on.
Okay.
They both suggest
Right.
that all those
Mm-hmm.
dazzling lights, heavenly music,
Uh-huh.
visions of divine beings
Okay.
that people report
Yeah.
during near-death experiences
Right.
or deep meditation,
Huh.
that they're actually illusions.
Oh, wow. That's
It really makes you question everything, doesn't
It
it?
really does.
I mean, think about people who have had those experiences.
yeah.
Like they
Mhm.
describe them as so real,
So real.
so vivid.
Huh.
But
Yeah.
both the Tibetan Book of the Dead
Okay.
and Fakir Chand's journey
Mm.
are suggesting that maybe we shouldn't be
Yeah.
so quick to take those visions at face value.
At face value. No.
Yeah, for example,
Okay.
in his early meditations,
Mhm.
Fakir Chand believed
Yeah.
he was actually
Okay.
interacting with deities
Mm.
like Krishna
Krishna.
and Rama,
Okay.
actually talking to them,
Wow.
believing that they were
Okay.
external beings.
Externally.
But then something shifted.
Okay.
He had this realization
Uh-huh.
that these visions
Mm.
were actually just projections of his own mind.
Oh, wow.
It's almost like
oh, yeah.
his deepest beliefs and
Mhm.
expectations
Yeah.
were manifesting in
Ah.
this incredibly tangible way.
It's like watching a movie.
Yeah. It's like he's watching his own subconscious
Yeah.
thoughts playing out on
Yeah.
a cosmic movie screen.
On a cosmic movie screen. I love that.
Yeah. But doesn't that align with
Okay.
what the Tibetan Book of the Dead
Right.
says about,
Okay.
those who are in the bardo?
Okay. The bardo. Yeah.
That intermediate state,
Uh-huh.
after death.
Yeah.
Totally. It's
Yep.
like
It is.
warning against
Mm-hmm.
being seduced
Okay.
by any visions of light
Mm.
or deities
Yeah.
or heavenly sounds. It's like
yeah.
a cosmic cautionary tale.
A cosmic cautionary tale. I like that.
It's saying,
Right.
hey,
Yeah.
don't get distracted
Don't get
by the
distracted.
special effects.
Right.
These are just manifestations
Yeah.
of your own
Of your karma.
your own actions
All right.
and intentions.
Intentions.
So it's not that these experiences aren't real to the person having them.
right.
It's more like
Mm-hmm.
they're mistaking
Mm-hmm.
a mirage
Right.
for an oasis.
Or an oasis. Yeah.
They're seeing a reflection,
Mm-hmm.
not the source itself,
I see.
which raises some pretty big questions,
Yes,
doesn't it?
it does.
I mean, if these
yeah.
seemingly profound spiritual experiences
Mhm.
it can be so misleading, how do we discern
That's a great question.
what's real
Yeah.
and what's a projection of
Mhm.
our own minds?
Of our own minds.
And then it makes you wonder about all
Yeah.
the things we perceive
Yeah.
in our everyday lives.
In everyday life, right?
Like, are we just seeing
Mm-hmm.
what we expect to see,
Right.
what we want to see?
What we want to see.
Yeah, it's
you
like
know?
how much of our reality
Yeah.
is actually self-created.
Yeah. Is actually self-created.
It's kind of mind-blowing
Totally mind-blowing.
when you stop and think about it.
Yeah.
And then it gets
Yeah.
even more mind-blowing
Okay.
when you consider
Right.
what both sources suggest
Mm-hmm.
about the ultimate truth, like the source of all these captivating visions.
Yeah.
They both seem to agree
Right.
that it's beyond human comprehension.
It's beyond
And it's not something we can actually grasp
Uh-huh.
with our limited minds.
With our limited mind.
And it's like trying to fit the ocean
Mm-hmm.
into a teacup.
I love that analogy.
And Fakir Chand
Yeah.
put it so eloquently
Mm.
when he said,
Yeah.
a small germ in a body
Mm-hmm.
cannot know the whole body.
Yeah.
Similarly,
Yeah.
a human being
Right.
is like a small germ
A small germ.
in a vast creation.
Yeah.
How can he claim
Yeah.
to have known
Mhm.
the entire creation?
That's powerful.
It's such a powerful analogy.
It is.
It really puts things in
Right.
perspective,
I think so too.
right?
Yeah.
We're these finite beings
Mhm.
trying to grasp
Yeah.
something infinite
Right.
and boundless.
And boundless.
But here's the kicker.
Okay.
Both sources
Mm-hmm.
identify the ego
Uh-huh.
or our sense of self
Right.
as the biggest obstacle
Okay.
to even getting a glimpse
Yeah.
of this ultimate truth.
Of this ultimate truth.
So it's not just
So.
that the truth
Mhm.
is inherently unknowable. It's
Mhm.
like
Okay.
our own egos
Right.
are blocking the doorway.
We're blocking the doorway. I love that.
And it's not
It's-
some malicious force out there
Right.
peeping us from the truth.
Yeah.
It's our own attachment
Right.
to the I,
So the
the me,
yeah.
that creates this
It's
filter
just a filter.
distorting our perception of reality.
Your perception of reality. Right.
It's almost like we're wearing
Okay.
these virtual reality goggles,
Yeah.
and they're programmed
Mm.
with our own desires,
Right.
fears,
Yeah.
preconceived notions,
Mm.
and we think we're seeing the real world.
Right.
But actually,
Yeah.
we're just experiencing a simulation.
We're experiencing a simulation. I love that analogy.
It really captures
It ties.
how our ego
Yeah.
creates this illusion of separation,
Uh-huh.
this sense that we are separate from everything else,
From everything else. Yeah.
and this clinging
Okay.
to that separate self.
That separate self.
That's what keeps
Yeah.
us trapped
Yeah.
in the cycle of rebirth.
In the cycle of rebirth, according to these traditions.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's where this idea of
Mhm.
liberation comes into play,
Liberation, yeah.
breaking free
Yeah.
from this
That-
ego-driven
Yeah,
cycle.
ego-driven cycle.
Yeah.
What if that begins
That's the big question.
to detach from something
Yeah.
so fundamental to our experience?
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
That's where things get really interesting.
That is where things get interesting.
Both the Tibetan Book of the Dead
Okay.
and Fakir Chant
Mm-hmm.
suggest
Mm-hmm.
that
Yeah.
the key to liberation
Okay.
lies in detaching
Mm-hmm.
from all desires.
From all desires,
even the desire
right?
for enlightenment itself.
For enlightenment itself.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Even the desire for something
Mm-hmm.
as seemingly positive as enlightenment can be a trap.
It can be a trap.
That seems counterintuitive.
Yeah, it seems counterintuitive.
But think about it this way.
Yeah.
As long as you're clinging to anything,
Uh-huh.
even a seemingly noble goal,
Right?
you're still reinforcing
Yeah.
that sense of separation,
That sense of separation.
that ego-driven
Just
grasping.
ego-driven grasping. That's right.
So true liberation,
Okay.
according to these sources,
Mm-hmm.
comes from complete surrender,
Complete surrender.
from letting go
Letting go.
of even our most cherished aspirations.
Our most cherished aspiration.
So it's less about achieving something
Yeah.
and more about just releasing everything.
releasing everything.
And Fakir Chand uses this really striking image
Mm-hmm.
to illustrate this idea.
Yeah.
He talks about hanging on the gallows.
Hanging on the gallows.
It's about that.
Oh, wow.
Complete and utter surrender,
Yeah.
letting go of all support,
All support and just be.
and just being hanging on the gallows.
Hanging on the gallows.
That's a pretty intense metaphor,
That's a very intense metaphor.
but it really gets to the heart
Yeah.
of what both sources are pointing towards.
They are.
This radical letting go.
Radical letting go.
No safety net,
Yeah.
no backup plan,
Mm.
just pure relinquishment.
Pure relinquishment.
It really makes you wonder,
Yeah.
like,
Mhm.
what would it feel like
Yeah, what would it feel like?
to truly let go
Mhm.
of everything
Mhm.
we hold dear,
Everything we hold dear.
even our very sense of self?
Even our sense of self.
Now we've talked about visions
Mm-hmm.
and ego,
Okay.
but what about karma?
Karma. Yeah.
Didn't you say earlier
Yeah.
that the Tibetan Book of the Dead
Right.
links those bardo visions
It
to a person's karma?
To a person's karma. Yeah.
So think of karma
Okay.
as a sculptor.
Okay. A sculptor.
It takes the clay of your actions
Okay.
and intentions in this life,
Yeah.
and it shapes your
Yeah.
experience in the afterlife.
In the afterlife.
So our attachments
Our attachment.
create these karmic tendencies
Yeah.
that influence what we experience
After death.
after death. It's like
Just like
our desires
Yeah.
are literally creating our reality.
literally creating our reality.
Let's talk more about Fakir Chand.
Okay. Fakir chant.
Fascinating
Mm-hmm.
that he was a Hindu mystic,
Yeah.
yet his conclusions
Mm-hmm.
about these profound spiritual matters were so similar to the teachings of the Tibetan Book of the Dead.
The Tibetan Book of the Dead.
It is.
It is.
And what's even more interesting is how he arrived at these conclusions.
At those conclusions.
He didn't just blindly accept the mystical visions.
The mystical visions? No.
He questioned them.
He questioned.
He analyzed them.
Analyzed.
And ultimately, that led him to transcend
the limitations of his own religious tradition.
Of his own religious tradition?
He sounds like a true independent thinker.
He was.
Were there any specific events that kind of pushed him down this path?
There was one that stands out
Okay.
of questioning everything.
Yeah.
It happened during World War I.
Okay.
He and his unit were in imminent danger
Wow.
of being attacked.
Uh-huh.
And he was terrified.
Yeah.
And in that moment of fear, he had this vision of his guru, Shiv Brat Lal, appearing before him and reassuring him that the enemy wasn't going to attack.
Okay, so like divine intervention.
Right.
Did his guru's words
They did.
turn out to be true?
They did. The enemy retreated
Wow.
without attacking.
Okay.
But here's the twist.
Okay.
Fakir Chand later learned that his guru had absolutely no memory
Wait a minute.
of this event.
His guru didn't remember
No.
appearing to him.
In a moment of need.
Nope.
And it gets even weirder.
Okay, even weirder.
At the exact same time that Fakir Chand was having this vision,
Having this vision.
his friends,
Uh-huh.
who were also in danger,
Also in danger.
were praying for help.
Right.
But instead of seeing
Okay.
Fakir Chand's guru,
Yeah.
they saw Fakir Chand
Oh, wow.
appearing before them,
That's incredible.
radiating this brilliant light.
Wow.
So both he and his friends had these vivid visions,
Vivid visions.
but neither of them
Right.
were physically present in the situation where they appeared.
Where they appeared. That's wild.
This realization was a major turning point
It was.
for Fakir Chand.
Yeah.
It's like he realized
Mhm.
that his own mind,
Yeah.
his own deep desires, anxieties,
Yeah.
were creating
Mm-hmm.
these incredibly vivid,
Right.
but ultimately illusory
Ultimately a lose.
experiences. It's as if he stumbled upon
Right.
this like universal truth,
Like a glitch in the matrix.
like a glitch in the matrix that transcended
that transcended.
the boundaries of
Yeah.
any specific religion
Right.
or spiritual practice.
or spiritual practice.
And this realization
Uh-huh.
would continue to shape his understanding of reality,
Oh, wow.
even into his dreams.
Even into his dreams.
Hold on, dreams.
Yeah.
That's where the running trains part
Okay, the running trains.
of the book title comes in.
Uh-huh.
Like, what do trains have to do with all of this?
With all of this.
Well, it seems even after all of his spiritual progress,
spiritual progress.
Fakir Chand still had
Uh-huh.
these incredibly vivid dreams
Yeah.
about running trains,
Running trains.
his deceased father,
Mm-hmm.
his wife,
His wife.
everyday things.
Wow.
He couldn't shake them.
He couldn't shake them.
So even a seasoned mystic
Seasoned mystic, yeah.
like Fakir Chand
Yeah.
couldn't escape the pull of dreams.
The pull of dreams.
Well, what's the significance of that?
That's very interesting.
Remember how we talked about
I do.
the power of attachment?
A tower of attachment.
Well, these seemingly mundane dreams
Yeah.
highlight
Mm-hmm.
how even subtle attachments,
Yeah.
even ones that
Yeah.
we might not consider
Mm-hmm.
spiritual,
Perpetual.
can continue to influence our experiences.
Yeah.
It's like our subconscious mind
Yeah.
is holding on to these threads,
Mhm.
weaving them into the fabric of our dreams.
The fabric of our dreams.
So it's not just about renouncing
So
material possessions. It's about examining those subtle attachments
subtle attached
to people,
right.
memories,
Yeah.
even routines,
Mhm.
things we might not even be aware of.
Be aware of.
That is such a
Yeah.
great question
It is.
for all of us to consider.
For all of us to consider.
Oh, what are
What are
the running trains
in our own life?
in our own life?
What are those
Right.
subtle
Sound
attachments
attachments, yeah.
that are shaping our experiences?
Mhm.
Perhaps even our understanding of reality.
Even our understanding of reality.
Like we're all on these individual journeys,
Mhm.
trying to navigate through
Ooh,
a world of illusions, or
illusion.
projections.
Yeah.
And Fakir Chan's story,
Right.
his willingness to question everything offers us this really valuable roadmap.
This really valuable roadmap, I agree.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And speaking of journeys, let's talk about the final stage of Fakir Chan's journey.
Fakir Chan's journey.
Towards the end of his life, someone asked him what would happen to him after death.
After death.
And his response was simply, I don't know.
Oh, wow.
And that's pretty profound. Yeah.
Especially after a lifetime of deep spiritual practice and these like mind-blowing mystical experiences.
Yeah.
What do you think that says?
I think it reveals...
about his understanding of death and the afterlife.
I think it reveals a deep humility.
Okay.
You know, it's as if he realized that true wisdom isn't about having all the answers, but about embracing the mystery and this acceptance of the unknown, this surrender to the mystery. It's a theme that runs through both the Tibetan Book of the Dead and Fakir Chan's experiences.
Okay, so I think we've covered a lot of ground here.
Yeah.
But before we dive deeper into the specific practices and techniques for navigating the dying process and beyond, I think we need to pause.
I agree.
For a moment.
Yeah.
And let all of this...
let it all sink in.
Sink in. You know, it's amazing how both the Fakir Chan and the Tibetan Book of the Dead, coming from such different backgrounds, arrived at such a similar conclusion that true liberation comes from surrendering to the mystery.
Surrendering to the mystery.
To the unknown.
The unknown.
I think what's so powerful about that idea is it challenges our very human need for certainty.
Get a certainty,
We're always trying to figure things out. Find the answers.
What are those answers?
But maybe, just maybe, true wisdom lies in acknowledging that we don't know everything.
We don't know everything.
And some things are beyond our grasp.
Beyond our grasp.
What if embracing the mystery, the not knowing, is actually more liberating than clinging to fixed beliefs?
Fixed beliefs.
And think about how that applies to the afterlife or whatever lies beyond this earthly existence. We have all these ideas.
All these ideas.
Beliefs. Hopes. Hopes.
And fears.
About what happens after we die.
After we die.
But what if we just...
go of all that.
Let go of all that.
What if we opened ourselves...
up.
To the possibility that it could be something. Far beyond... anything we could ever imagine.
Anything we could ever imagine.
Okay. Mind blown.
All right. Mind blown. You know what I find so fascinating?
What's that?
Is that the Tibetan Book of the Dead and Fakir Chan's journey, while both pointing towards this idea of letting go, approach it from completely different angles.
Completely different angles,
It's like they're giving us two different perspectives on the same profound truth.
On the same profound truth.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The Tibetan Book of the Dead is like a guidebook.
It's a guidebook.
A manual for navigating the bardo. The bardo, the intermediate state after death. It gives very specific instructions.
It does.
Warnings about pitfalls to avoid guidance on how to achieve liberation.
Achieve liberation.
But then you have Fakir Chan. He's coming at it from this very personal, experiential perspective. He's sharing his own struggles.
His own struggles.
His own insights.
His own insights.
Realizations that came from years of deep meditation.
Deep meditations.
And grappling with these big questions.
Grappling with those big questions.
Yet, despite these different approaches, they both seem to converge on this key idea that liberation isn't about achieving some specific state or going to some heavenly realm.
Some heavenly realm.
It's about a fundamental shift in perspective.
In perspective.
Letting go of the illusion.
Of the illusion.
Of a separate self.
Of a separate self.
And I think that's a really valuable insight.
It is.
For anyone. Exploring these topics.
Exploring these
Don't limit yourself.
Don't limit yourself.
For a single perspective.
A single perspective.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Be open to exploring different traditions.
Different
philosophies, different personal experience. Because the truth, or at least our understanding of it, is often found in those spaces between perspectives.
Between perspectives.
In those dialogues.
How?
In contradictions.
In contradictions,
it's like, if you only ever read one book.
Right.
You only ever get one side of the story.
One side of the story.
Exactly. Yeah. You need multiple voices, multiple lenses.
Multiple lenses.
Through which to view the world.
View the world.
Thinking back to Fakir Chan's story, it's amazing how his journey started.
It started.
With this fascination.
Right.
With mystical experiences.
Mystical experience.
With visions.
Vision.
And divine encounters.
Divine encounters.
But ultimately, it led him to this deep appreciation for the unknowable.
The unknowable.
For the mystery that lies at the heart of existence.
At the heart of existence.
It's almost as if he realized
almost as if
that chasing after those extraordinary experiences.
What's extraordinary experience?
It was just another form of attachment.
Another form of attachment.
It's only when he let go of that pursuit, that desire to grasp the ungraspable,
it's graspable,
that he truly began to experience liberation.
Liberation.
Which raises an interesting question for us.
For us.
As we continue to explore these concepts.
To explore these concepts.
How do we cultivate?
How do we cultivate a sense
of non-attachment?
Of non-attachment.
In our own lives.
In our own lives,
Even amidst all the distraction and desire of the modern world.
To the modern world, that's a good question.
That is the $1 million question.
It is.
And honestly, I don't think there's an easy answer.
I don't think there's an easy answer either.
But maybe it starts with being more aware of our attachments.
Of those attachments.
Like, what are those?
Yeah, what are those?
Running trains.
Running trains.
In our own lives.
In our own lives.
Those subtle desires and cravings that are shaping our experiences.
I think that's a great starting point.
Starting point?
And maybe.
Just maybe. Cultivating a sense of curiosity.
Curiosity.
And open-mindedness.
Open-mindedness.
Like Fakir Chan did.
Like Fakir Chan.
When he began to question the nature of his own vision.
The nature of his own vision.
To help us loosen the grip. Of those attachments.
Of those attachments.
It's like instead of clinging tightly to our beliefs and expectations. We can start to hold them a little more loosely.
A little more loosely.
With a bit more curiosity. And a willingness to be surprised.
A willingness to be surprised. I love that.
Instead of shutting down our minds, we're opening them up.
Yeah, we're opening them up.
To new possibilities.
New possibilities.
Even possibilities that might challenge our current understanding. It's like we're inviting mystery in.
The mystery in.
And I think it also involves cultivating a willingness to let go.
To surrender.
To surrender.
To that mystery.
To the mystery.
Even when our minds are screaming for...
Even when and control.
And control.
The hard part, isn't it?
That is the hard part.
Our minds are wired to crave certainty.
They crave certainty.
To seek out patterns. And explanations.
Yeah, and explanations.
But maybe... True liberation comes from letting go.
Letting go.
Of that need.
Of that need.
To know to control everything.
To control.
Maybe it's in that surrender that we truly find freedom.
That we truly find freedom. That's a great point.
You know, as we're talking about all this, I can't help but think about all the people out there who are facing death.
Facing death.
Or who have lost loved ones.
Lost loved ones.
This whole idea of surrendering to the mystery.
To the mystery. Yeah.
It's both terrifying.
Terrifying.
And incredibly comforting.
And comforting.
Depending on your perspective.
Depending on your perspective.
It's true.
It is.
Death is the ultimate unknown.
The ultimate unknown.
And it's natural to feel
fear and anxiety.
In the face of that unknown.
In the face of that unknown.
But maybe... Just maybe, if we can shift our perspective, if we can start to see death.
See death.
Not as an ending.
Not as an ending.
But as a transition.
As a transition.
As a doorway.
A doorway.
Into something vast and unknowable.
And unknowable.
Then perhaps some of that fear can start to dissolve. Instead of resisting the current.
It's like
we learn to swim with it.
Swim with it.
To trust that there's something bigger.
Yeah.
Something Beyond our comprehension.
Beyond our comprehension.
Holding us.
Holding us.
Beautifully said.
And that brings us back.
Yeah.
To the Tibetan Book of the Dead.
The Tibetan Book of the Dead.
It's very specific instructions for navigating the dying process.
Yeah.
And beyond.
And beyond.
Because even though it's coming from a very different cultural
and religious perspective, it also emphasizes the importance of letting go,
of surrendering
to
the experience,
and ultimately
of merging
with the clear light of reality.
The clear light of reality.
We've talked a lot about the theoretical side of things, about the importance of non-attachment and surrendering to the mystery. But what about the practical side? To the Tibetan Book of the Dead and Fakir Chan's experiences will offer any concrete advice for navigating those final moments of life.
For navigating those final moments.
For what happens after we take that final breath. They absolutely do.
They do.
And that's what we'll explore. As we continue our deep dive. But first, let's take a moment. To gather our thoughts. And reflect on everything we've discussed so far. Okay, so let's jump back into Lane's inner visions and running trains. We've talked about the illusory nature of reality and how, like, clinging to our egos can actually block us from experiencing truth. But now let's get practical.
Practical.
What do these sources actually suggest?
What do they suggest?
About how to navigate death and the afterlife. Well, the Tibetan Book of the Dead.
The Tibetan Book of the Dead
is fascinating because it's essentially a guidebook. For the dying and those who have recently passed. It's almost like...
It's like a roadmap.
A roadmap.
For the bardo.
For the bardo.
That intermediate state between lives. And one of the key things it emphasizes.
One of the key things.
Is recognizing the clear light of reality.
The clear light of reality.
Which supposedly manifests at the moment of death.
At the moment of death.
And isn't that similar to...
It is similar.
The pure luminosity that Fakir Chan talks about.
That he talks about.
Experiencing in his deep meditation. To give it as like the most brilliant, radiant light imaginable. Symbolizing. The true nature of reality. Unclouded by our usual perceptions and illusions.
The Book of the Dead.
Urges those in the bardo to merge with this clear light.
To recognize it as their own true nature. That sounds pretty intense.
It does sound intense.
Like facing death.
Letting
go of everything you know. Wouldn't that be kind of overwhelming?
I think it would be for most people.
What if someone can't recognize or merge with this clear light? Thankfully, the Book of the Dead offers backup plans. Paths for those who might miss that initial opportunity. Describes all sorts of visions and experiences someone might have in the bardo. Depending on their karma. And attachments from their past
life.
And it provides instructions.
Navigating.
Those experiences skillfully. Avoiding the temptations. That could lead to further suffering. So even if you don't ace that final exam, so to speak. There are still ways. To graduate. To a higher level.
I like that.
It's reassuring.
It is reassuring.
Actually. The Book of the Dead is all about giving us the best possible shot. At liberation. Even if we haven't perfected. Non-attachment. This life.
In this life.
It's not like we're all gonna suddenly become enlightened beings the second we die. And that's where Fakir Chan's experiences are so helpful. Because even though he wasn't familiar with the specifics of The Bardo,
with the specifics.
his own journey.
His own journey.
Echoes these same ideas.
These same ideas.
He constantly questions.
Constantly questions.
Own experiences.
His own experiences.
Refusing to blindly accept. Whatever popped up in his meditation.
In his meditations.
And I think that's such a valuable practice.
A valuable practice.
Especially when you consider how easily we could be fooled.
Right. We could be fooled.
By
the Bardo's illusion.
The Bardo's illusions.
Like if a seasoned mystic. Like Fakir Chan.
Like Fakir.
Could be tricked. By his own mind.
By his own mind.
How much more susceptible.
Right. How much more susceptible.
Are we to getting swept away?
Getting swept away.
By those like dazzling, but ultimately illusory. Visions. It emphasizes the need.
For discernment?
For discernment. To not be swayed.
By appearances.
By appearance.
Whether those appearances are...
Whether they are.
Terrifying. Or tempting. Now, remember, we talked earlier about those running trains. Those subtle attachments. That might continue to influence us.
Right.
Even after death. Oh.
Yeah.
Fakir Chan's
dream experiences. Yeah, they offer...
Some clues about how we might start addressing those attachments now.
Address them now.
Before we reach the Bardo.
Reach the Bardo.
So how do we do that? Do we need to become train enthusiasts? I think so.
It's about becoming more mindful
of those things we cling to.
Whether it's material possessions,
relationships, or even memories. The Book of the Dead and Fakir Chan. Both suggest that letting go of those attachments. Even just a little bit. Can make a big difference. In our experience. Of death and beyond. So it's like we're packing light. For our journey. Into the unknown. The fewer attachments we carry. The easier it is. To move through. Those Bardo realms. It's a process.
It is a process.
Of course, we might not be able to completely sever those attachments. In this lifetime. But
becoming aware of them. Is a great first step. So as we reach the end of this deep dive.
What's the key takeaway?
For
our listeners.
For the listener.
What's the one thing?
The one thing
they should remember. About navigating death and the afterlife. Based on what we've learned from Lane's book. I think the most important message. The one that of the Tibetan Book of the Dead. And Fakir Chan's experiences emphasize is this. Don't be afraid. To let go. Let go of your attachments. Your need to control. And even your sense of self. That surrender. That embrace of the unknown. Holds the potential. For true liberation. Letting go of our sense of self. I think I'm going to need some time. To wrap my head around that one.
To wrap your head around that one.
But it's definitely something.
Worth
pondering.
But maybe.
In that letting go.
In that letting go.
We discover something. Far more
wondrous.
And awe-inspiring.
Than
anything. We could have ever imagined.
You could have ever imagined.
Who knows?
We might even
bump into Fakir Chan.
On
those running trains. In the Bardo. Finally free from all
earthly baggage.
That earthly baggage.
Now that's a vision.
I
can get behind. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for joining us.
On this deep dive, everyone. And until next time. Keep exploring.
Keep
questioning.
And keep embracing the mystery.
And keep embracing that mystery.